Alright, so what's good with the Black Goose TV family? I got something on my mind. I'm really passionate about this right here. I need to hear y'all opinion on this. Look, so Andrew Tabiti, he lost, okay? Lost by knockout to the Koe'D. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. The Cuban boxer. It was the semifinals of the World Boxing Super Series. Now, if any of y'all check my Fight Week video, y'all will be aware that Andrew Tabiti is one of my favorite fighters. I've been following him since he was like 4-0. So I was really amped for this fight, and I was really hoping that he would get this W because I really thought this would put his career to another level, right? Well, that didn't happen. He lost. He actually got brutally knocked out, okay? And one of my main points that I said in my Fight Week video that I was worried about when it came to this fight was the fact that if you watch any of Andrew Tabiti's other fights, he's an outside fighter. He fights on the outside at all times. He likes to use his jab. And then, of course, he's coming out of the TMT gym, so he uses the shoulder roll. So he likes to jab, stay on the outside, slip punches. He's a counter puncher. Doesn't really engage. For the most part, he's waiting for somebody to throw at him, and then he counter punches and he moves, right? Well, that's all good and dandy, and that works fine as long as you have the athletic advantage over your opponent. Well, he was going against an opponent not only that was bigger than him when it comes to height-wise, but longer reach and more weight. So he was going against a very, finally he was going against a natural cruiserweight opponent, basically. The other person you can say that would be a natural cruiserweight would be a Steve Cunningham, which even in that fight, if y'all saw that fight, he had a lot of trouble with Steve Cunningham. But at the same time, Steve Cunningham was at the end of his career, and he didn't really carry the power that he used to when he was younger. So Andrew Tabiti, he did a great performance when he fought Steve Cunningham, but similar to his more recent fights before this fight, when he was starting to go up in level of opponent that he was facing, he seemed to be getting too comfortable with holding. It seemed like his defense was beginning, like he was just holding too much. And his last 3-4 fights, most of them was pretty boring because he was kind of doing the Klitschko thing, you know what I'm saying? Jab, jab, and come in and he would hold. But I was really worried about this particular fight with the Koe'D because, one, he's a Cuban boxer, right? Them Cuban backgrounds, fundamentally sound, fundamentally solid, right? And that's always trouble when you go against a guy who uses that Philly shell / Floyd Mayweather style, especially if it's someone who picked it up a little bit later in their career. So I knew that was going to be a problem. As soon as they started to fight, though, you know what I'm saying? Like, right away, the size advantage, like, the size difference was ridiculous. Like, I said in my Fight Week video, Andrew Tabiti could easily go down in weight. Like, I don't understand why he's fighting that cruiserweight. He's not that big, and he doesn't have power. He just has speed. And I'm like, the thing about cruiserweights is there's guys with speed that is just as fast as Andrew Tabiti with power. So I never even understood why he was actually a cruiserweight to begin with. But yeah, I didn't understand that. I feel like he should move down light heavyweight. But maybe that might be the next move for him after this fight. But maybe it's a hard cut for him. Who knows? But anyways, this is basically what I want to ask y'all. So we're in the age of social media, right? Viral videos. Want to look flashy, want to look dope, want to get followers, want to get likes, blah, 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 blah. And one of the things that is very popular in the boxing community, obviously because of Floyd Mayweather, is the Floyd Mayweather style mitt holding / shoulder roll, you know what I'm saying, all that good stuff. But especially when you look at the TMT gym, you know what I'm saying, a lot of those trainers, that's what they drill, that's what they teach. Let me be 100 with y'all. Me personally, I think that's bullshit. I think it's not effective. I think you can't come into a gym being a certain type of fighter, and then all of a sudden you need to change your style to this Mayweather style, mitt-holding Mayweather style shoulder roll defense, and then you can get in the ring and be able to execute that, or at least be able to execute that against someone who's been doing a certain type of style for like a decade. You know, I just don't think that's effective. And y'all can say I'm hating all you want, but just look at the track record of that gym. Look at the fighters that's been under that banner. You know what I'm saying? That's been signed on that banner and who's been trained that way. None of them really had any success other than Floyd Mayweather and at the moment Gervonta Davis. There's really no one else who's had success with that style. Andrew Tabiti was one of the dudes who seemed like he would be one of the guys to be able to break out and become that. But if you watch that fight, which I did, man, from beginning to end, it was very evident that he had a lot of holes in his game. It was very evident that they're not drilling footwork, they're not drilling ring awareness, and they're not drilling him to learn how to fight on the inside. Because if there was one thing that was very apparent is when he got on the inside, he never wanted to engage. Obviously, Doritos has a lot of power. He's called the knockout doctor for a reason. Obviously, if you saw the fight, it was a vicious KO. But at the same time, if you have a fighter who is shorter than the other fighters, well, with a smaller reach, how are you going to fight on the outside the whole fight and expect to win? At some point, you have to be willing to get on the inside, throw a couple punches, and get out. And it seemed like Andrew Tabiti had no knowledge of how to do that. When he would get on the inside, he would either hold or he would, like towards the later rounds, maybe like the 5th, 6th round, he started throwing punches on the inside, but it was weird. It was like a flurry of punches to the body, but nothing that obviously would hurt Doritos, because it wasn't like he didn't sit down, like he wasn't sitting down on any of his punches when he got on the inside. And he didn't really sit down on any of his punches when he was on the outside. And that credit due to the power behind Doritos, because right away you could see the power was affecting Andrew Tabiti a lot. But man, for a guy who was in his 18th fight and who was on a stage as big as this, I thought it was, I think it's a great disservice to the athlete that he had such major holes in his game. You know what I'm saying? If you listen to the announcers, the post-fight, analysts by the announcers, they were saying, well, it was just a good learning curve for him. It was a high step up in the level of competition, blah, 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 all that shit, right? Like, no, that's not a good look, because in my opinion, I'm like, that wasn't a fight that you be like, all right, I took the L, I can learn from that. That was more of a what do I do now type fight. Where do I go from here? Because of how devastating the KO was, and the fact that if you study that fight, if you watch it, you see that for a guy who's already on his 18th fight, he has so many holes in his game, and it's disappointing. It's very disappointing, because at the end of the day, you have to blame that on his coach. You have to blame that on the gym he trains under. Why are they so hell-bent on wanting to do this fast mid-work / Mayweather style training, rather than being like, okay, this is the fighter we have, this is his build, this is his reach, this is how athletic he is, this is what he's good at, this is what he's not so good at, and then you implement certain strategies and you implement certain drills that cater to the fighter's strength, and then you make sure you work on his weaknesses, so when he goes into the fight, he knows what to do when he's put into certain positions. I'm not saying they're not doing that, but if you watch that fight, it looks like they're not doing it, because to me, Andrew Tabiti didn't look any better than he did his last fight, which was, he did get a W, but it was a sloppy fight. It was very similar to this one, where it was a lot of holding, hugging, and a lot of combinations from Andrew Tabiti, but none with really anything behind it. The fight before that, he did get a knockout, but it was against low-level competition. And obviously before that, he had Steve Cunningham, which to me was another sloppy fight. I just want to ask y'all this. What do y'all think of the Floyd Mayweather style trying to be implemented onto other fighters? Do you think it can be effective in the future? Do you think that's a good way to drill your fighters? Do you think at this point the only person who can ever use that style and be effective is Floyd Mayweather? Let me know, because I really do feel like it's a great, like, I just, obviously there's a little bias here because Andrew Tabiti is one of my favorite fighters, but I just feel like I just feel like it's not right, you know what I'm saying, to put someone with a bright future like Andrew Tabiti in there, but only be drilling him on certain aspects of the game rather than making sure everything is solid. But that's just from what I see. This is just all from, like, you know what I'm saying, it's the eye test, you know what I'm saying. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Maybe they are drilling all that, but yeah, BlakGooseTV family, let me know below what y'all think. Is the Floyd Mayweather style only good for Floyd Mayweather, or do you encourage trainers to teach the can you translate that into an actual boxing fight, into an actual real live boxing fight? Is it possible? Let me know, y'all. You already know who it is, BlakGooseTV.